Freezing my balls off on a cold Tuesday night at a South London rugby pitch taught me more about habit change than I knew at the time. If you're someone who performs at a high level but just can't stay consistent under real pressure, you're going to want to stay until the end. Because the final point is the biggest reason why most people fail. My name's Alex Paul, and I've coached high performers for nearly 3 decades and coached the coaches for the last 15. In this video, I'll show you exactly what those Tuesday nights taught me and why it matters. For those of you who don't know much about rugby, well, rugby is a sport that I played for about 45 years of my life. Now, here you can see me in the middle picture there, middle of the image, a lot less grey, maybe a little bit chunkier, but that was me when I was playing at my professional level out in Bristol in the UK. And what I'm going to get to is why this sport helped me learn about habits and one of the most important things about habits. Now let's start with a very unique thing about rugby. Rugby has something called a scrum, and yep, that's me right there in the front left-hand side of the scrum there. I was a prop. It's a big area where you have a lot of contact, a lot of hard hitting. And let me just show you what that means in terms of habits. Okay, so this is the structure of the scrum, and the scrum is made up of 8 people working together to push in one direction. Now I was that number one up there in the corner, and what we were doing was we had to bind together, we had to work together, and even against opposition that was stronger, faster, fitter, bigger than us, we could be better than them because we worked in unison and we worked together. And this is something that is so important and that can really help you in your habits. And the idea is, what has this got to do with habits? Well, it's about that teamwork. It's about associating with other people. It's about having that connection and that reason to be doing something. Okay. And in science, we call this relatedness. Now, in my first video in this series on autonomy, you can watch that video right here, we talked about why high performers need autonomy. Autonomy is really important because you're used to making the calls, you're used to being the decision makers. Without having decisions about what you do, you're just doomed to fail. The next video, which you can watch right here as well, was about competence. And competence isn't just about being good at something, it's about challenging yourself at a level that enables you to be good. If it's too easy, you get bored. If it's too hard, you panic. Something called the Goldilocks zone. So go back and watch those videos if you want to know more. But competence is really important. Sorry, relatedness is really important because if you can relate with other people, like those cold Tuesday nights when I really didn't want to train, knowing that my teammates were going to be there, knowing that they were expecting me to be there, they were expecting me to perform and live up to the expectations that we set as a team, meant we were related. And that helps drive you into making those behaviors and doing those habits. Let me tell you something about an Ironman. Now, we're not talking about Tony Stark here. We're talking about the Ironman event. This is a swim, bike, and run event. Now, I had dinner with a friend of mine just recently, and we were talking about what it's like to have to do Ironman training. And it's really tough, right? You're having to get up, especially if you work, you're having to get up at 5 a.m., train 6 days a week because you're swimming 2.5 kilometers, you're cycling 140 kilometers, and then you're running a marathon at the end of it. And what was really telling when we were discussing it was that he's got a training group, and that training group meet every morning and they train together. And it's that relatedness that gives them that drive, that oomph, that want to get up at 5 a.m. and go and do something with a group of people with a shared vision, a shared goal. They're not doing the training, they're not doing the event together in terms of they're not racing against each other, they're all doing it at their own pace. But by being involved in a group, you really then get to get that relatedness and really deep dive into why it's meaningful for you. Now, contrast that slightly with something he told me, which was on the Saturday, he had to go up and do a half of this, half Ironman to part of his training. And there was nobody available in the group. And do you know what? He did it, but it was grueling. It was hard. It was not fun. So being involved and being associated with other people that are going through what you're going through is really useful when you're taking on habits and behaviors that are healthy. But here's the problem. Most high performers get into what I call the identity trap, or people call the identity trap. And that's because you're the leader, you're the one people look up to. And very often, especially in a work setting, you don't want to be involved in a casual setting with other people. You don't have a group. Yeah, and having that group, like having a group of rugby players meeting up to train and play together, like having a group of friends that go and do Ironman training together, really helps keep you consistent, keeps you accountable to each other, keeps you related to each other. So that no accountability means that you're more likely to fail, or you're more likely to not do it. So there's nothing binding people together that don't have that relatedness of going for the same goal. Now, the thing that made them successful is the thing that is probably breaking their habits. And it's because they are not loners, but because they are high performers, because you're a high performer, because you're used to calling the shots. Sometimes you don't like to be at other people's beck and call, but I got to tell you, it's really powerful. But there's one deeper layer, and I promised you at the start of this video that the most important point was right at the end. And here's what it is. You need to have a reason why. It's not good enough to do something for somebody else's reason. And here's what we call it in science. It's a difference between extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is doing something for somebody else, doing something because somebody told you to. Intrinsic motivation is doing something for yourself. So you don't want to be doing something for your spouse. I got a great story about 30 years ago when I first started in the fitness industry. A lady came up to me in the gym and said, "Can you train my husband?" I'm like, "Yeah, brilliant. I need more clients. That'd be excellent." So she said, "Yeah, it's going to be his 40th birthday and I really think he should get fit and healthy." And I'm like, "Yeah, great. Yeah, send him along. I'm going to send him on his birthday." I have to tell you, it was probably the most grueling session I had to go through as a trainer. The guy had no interest in being there, absolutely didn't want to be there. And guess what? Never came back. It was put on him, it was extrinsically motivated by his wife getting him to come and do some exercise. Now, a doctor might be somebody that you listen to. Most people really only really have that catalyst to change when they have an emergency medical, a heart attack, a stroke, something that really scares them about their mortality. If a doctor just says you're a bit overweight, your blood work doesn't look great, it's not a great motivation to try and change. And probably the last person you want to do it for is some form of guru, somebody who's telling you you should do this is going to be the thing that makes you. That's not the type of person you want to listen to. You want to make sure that you have a deep reason, your deep reason for doing it. What's your catalyst for change? Why are you going to do it? And what difference is it going to make to you? And this is the really important thing about habits. Habits aren't easy. Healthy habits aren't easy. But if you can find a reason for you wanting to do it, that's really going to help you in the long run. That's really going to make things easier to get up and do when you really don't want to do it. I mean, I'm sensible. I don't really like exercise. I like the feeling of completing. I like the feeling it gives me of empowerment that I did it. I enjoy the benefits of it. But that first 15 minutes of getting out the door and getting to the gym, yeah, that's a struggle. And I've been in the industry nearly 3 decades. So don't worry if you find it hard. It's going to be hard. People tell you exercise is easy. Just get on and do it. They're not like you. They're maybe a little bit weird, if you have to say. So if you want to see where your habits stack up, I've created a fantastic assessment which will show you where your habits are. And then from there, you can decide what habits you want to follow, what habits you should work on, what habits you can actually put into your life right now. And if you want to know what habits you can put into your life right now, you might need to know what your capacity is. And you can watch how to measure and react to the right capacity for the right amount of habits, for the right type of habits by watching this video right here.